1% of our population joins the military, yet over 50% of suicides are carried out by our heroes. It is time to find a way to help those who served our country. I challenge you to join us on February 22nd for our 22-hour podcast, Community Mission to Serve Our Veterans. Tell your story, introduce your solutions, inform us about jobs, homes, or other opportunities to show your support to our veterans. Donate or sponsor. Use the QR code above and prove you're ready to make a difference. Make a commitment to the community mission to serve our veterans.
to a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here?
Great Wednesday night to everyone. My name is Zach Clayton, the president and founder of Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the pACT channels. Have you ever been sitting around, think what you're doing is great, you're getting a lot of work done, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of stuff rushes at you and you're like, that was today. And I could not be any happier about it. It is verified. There's been a couple changes to the opening video that we did there. And I don't know if you guys saw one fairly large organization that was added to it for our community mission to serve our veterans. That organization is Buffalo Wild Wings. This year, Buffalo Wild Wings on the 21st, the night before the large podcast, if you go to Buffalo Wild Wings in Greeley, in Fort Collins, or in Loveland, that's anywhere in northern Colorado. You know what? We'll start in northern Colorado, but you go to Greeley, Fort Collins, and Loveland on the 21st. Tell them that you're here in support of our veterans, and they're going to donate 10% of your meal to our podcast, to all the organizations that we are raising money for. Veterans Honoring Veterans, the Price of Freedom Foundation, Rescue Residents, Community Dare to Care, Healing Warriors, and as of today, just 20 minutes before I got the news from Buffalo Wild Wings, International Conscious has now also joined us. They are a non-narcotic healing program. They help with just coaching, self-personalization, and more, teaching you how to live within yourself, teaching you how to deal with things a little bit easier, helping you talk your way through things. She's also got a unique program where she's not out in their groups. She insists that you join that you come in slowly. And this is what she was telling me before we went on, before we got anything done. But she insists that you come in slowly, that you don't come in like a bull in a china shop. And what they do is they ask you, hey, you know what? Come in with your camera off. Come in, participate, but sit there with your camera off. That way you don't feel like you've got all the eyes on you. You don't feel like, everyone's staring at you. You can open up, you can listen to what other people have to say. You can participate in your own time. I like that idea. I like that you have that option. I like that there's a level of trust that you can build when it comes to that. Now, they have two different types of sessions. One is for our heroes, and this does include our first responders, law enforcement, the fire. She is an EMT, which is fantastic. EMT technician, so that's awesome. My parents were EMTs years and years and years ago. They had one of those stupid dolls, that it had fallen and it was leaning against the door. And I'm like, we're talking, I'm like 9. Okay. I opened the door, that thing fell out, and I about did things to my pants that you didn't want to do as a 9-year-old little boy, but it scared the holy hell out of me. So anyway, but they do have one for the everyday citizen, and they've got one that's specifically for our heroes, that goes into the realm of helping people who, there's a lot of trauma in that job, and a constant trauma in that job. So we've had very little amount of time to talk, but everything I've heard, I've really loved. So, of course, as her being a current EMT, she didn't have a whole lot of time to talk. So, she just got done with the 24-hour shift and she was going on to a 36. It's amazing what they have to go through. So, but we are, yeah, you know what? This day is almost done. So we are 22 and a half days away from our show. We still need your help. Buffalo Wild Wings is stepping up big time by offering us 10% of the meals when we go in to eat with them. Thank you. Buffalo Wild Wings has treated my organization fantastic. This is like the third time that we have went all over Northern Colorado. They have worked with us to do this. They are a great organization. I love their wings personally. Plus, I'm going to be going there on the 6th because that's the only way I can watch my hockey game, because they're playing in Colorado. And the only people who cannot watch Colorado Avalanche are the people who live in Colorado. I don't understand that. So, by the way, Cronkies, you guys are terrible. All right. I'm just going to say it. Worst owners in sports. So, championship teams, yet you won't let your own fans watch. What a wonderful, wonderful group of humans you are. Personal opinion. It's a correct opinion, but it's a personal opinion. Just to let you guys know, starting at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to be replaying the first show with Maria Dolores and Stefan Heinz of The Human Contract. We've still got a couple hours to go in the One Hope Wine show, One Hope Wine fundraising event. And I really want to replay this again because I think what they're doing is so fantastic. And I really love the connection that we've got with them. Our program, their program are so close knit that it's amazing. It really is. I say it multiple times throughout the show that this is the conversations I have with my very best friends, my wife, my buddy Z, my father, my mom. We have conversations like this on a daily basis. I mean, these are the conversations we have every day. And so talking to them and trying to find out how we together can take and support other people who are out there, I think it's so vitally important to do. We are, once again, still looking for people to help us out by sponsoring our 22-hour podcast. Okay. We need sponsors. We need sponsors terribly. We're going to ask you to join us and for a complete hour. All right. You sit on here with an hour. You can help us answer questions or ask questions. You can help us answer questions. You can help us run this show. 1 hour is going to be dedicated to the recording of the show that we're going to be doing on the 21st from Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm going to record for 1 hour talking to some of the people who come in and participate in the wings in the wing party. We're going to ask them, hey, why do you have a message for veterans out there? We're going to ask them some questions, and it's because we really want to hear from the people. We want to hear from you this year. Just to let you know, as you can see wherever you're watching right now, there's a place for you to put in comments. Please ask us questions. Ask our guests questions. We can get all of these things answered, we can do a lot of good things together. But if you don't ask questions, if you don't approach this as a as the opportunity it is, you know, this is such a great opportunity for us to be able to learn more about all of these great organizations that are out there. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to find um oh, went way too far back there. Trying to find a little something that we are attempting to help out Project Die Hard right now. And Project Die Hard, Brian Gibson has made contact with the one of the senators from his state, and they are asking you to please email this senator. I did. I sent an email to him and told him, hey, you know what? It's time you guys wake up and realize that you've got organizations in Los Angeles that are telling you that it's going to take, 10, $20 million, $100 million to fix up a place for our veterans that don't have a place to live. Good on them for doing things. Okay, I'm going to say that. Good on them for doing things. But honestly, that's horse garbage. You don't need that much money. You need heart. You can start an organization. You can help people without breaking someone's bank. Look, let's be honest. Our government has a tendency to create money, spend money willy-nilly. They don't really give a damn. We know this is true. But they don't have to. We can work together, and people like Brian, yeah, you know what? To get this fully up and operational, this one, it's going to be close to $1 million. But there's a huge difference between 1 million and 100 million. All right. So, and for some reason, I am unable right now to find the email address, but I will have it for you after we play the video with Maria and Stefan. I will have that email, and I will have it running across the screen as soon as I do find it. But once again, I did send in a email to him, and I told him I expressed my displeasure with the way that they do things. They do work for us. They're supposed to be listening to us. They are supposed to understand. They're supposed to understand that, we can do things together instead of trying to take things upon themselves, one, and further their pockets. I complain a lot. That's it. I just wanted to say that I complain a lot. Nah, I'm joking. That the government cannot get anything passed without this. Without it affecting their wallet, they don't get things done. Everyone is allowed to make money. Everyone should be allowed to make money. But we don't help small town organizations out enough. After I sent an email to Brian's senator, I sent one to one of my own. And I was really quite disappointed in what they had to say. because you could tell it was just a stock letter. I was wanting to tell him, this is what we're doing. I'm not going to ask you to come and sit here with me. God forbid that would happen. I'm not even going to ask him to come on to the show and talk. First off, I don't want to seem like I'm being partisan or any BS like that. My thing is I asked them if they could help me obtain something that we could auction off, and I still haven't heard back from them. All I got was a stock letter telling me that Colorado has 400,000 veterans, and so many of them have many different needs, and you know, the VA, yada yada yada. I know this. That is easy to find. Open any web browser and you can search and you can find all that stuff. Now, see, here's the thing. We could also open any web browser and we can find out that their numbers are padded for their own protection. What the state of Colorado deems a suicide, a lot of times, the government will not say is a suicide. The state of Colorado considers an overdose a volunteer suicide or accidental suicide. Sorry. They consider an accident with alcohol accidental suicide. So they're marked as suicides. The United States government doesn't do that. So it skews their numbers. I think that we need to try to find a way to maybe be more consistent. Not all overdoses are because someone's depressed. It's because they've got a problem. It's because they've got an addiction. It's because, maybe they just wanted to go out and party and they got a hold of some bad stuff. We all know the BS with all the fentanyl right now. Terrible, terrible fentanyls being put into things that, it's killing kids. It's killing people. It's killing everyone. Fentanyl's a problem. All right. And people who are experiencing something once are losing their lives because they get something that's laced. It's a terrible, terrible tragedy. It's also another reason why we need to start protecting each other. If we see one or another using these products, maybe this is time we talk to them. It's a hard conversation to have. Walking up to somebody and saying, hey, look, I see that you're having a little bit of a problem. Is there something that I can do to help you? It's not the easiest thing in the world to say, is it? But it's got to be said. It's got to be said. We've got to protect each other. One of my very, very best friends in my mid to late teens, 20s, ended up breaking his arm, I believe. Breaking his arm. He was on painkillers. And he drank. Well, anybody who knows anything about painkillers and all that other stuff knows that you're not supposed to drink with painkillers. And this is probably about a decade and a half ago. Okay, so this is quite a while back, but he ended up passing away, and they called it an accidental suicide. That is so hard to hear. An accidental suicide. I think it's also kind of one of those things that it's really hard for a family to understand. You know, because you got to sit there and you got to think about it. Did they actually intend on doing damage to themselves, or were they just irresponsible at that time? We don't know for sure. But my brother, my friend, I didn't know. I still, to this day, I have that question. I want, I wish I knew more. I knew he was going through hell. He was going through hell before he left home here in Greeley. He went to a different place to try to make things a little bit better for himself, and unfortunately, it led to his demise. Is an accidental suicide any worse than a suicide? A regular suicide? I don't know. I do know this. One of them, is there's a level of intention in it. The other one is accidental. I did find it, and I want to share this with you and ask you to please send Senator Dale Fowler an email and ask him, hey, wake the hell up. Wake up and help us out. Help out Project Die Hard. Help them obtain the money that they need. Send an email to Senator Fowler 59@gmail.com. By the way, I find it weird that a senator has a Gmail account, not another account. I don't know why I find that weird, but I do. Senator Fowler 59@gmail.com. Please send an email to this. Send an email to your own senator, the one that represents your state. Send an email to them and let them know, you know what? I'm sick and tired of seeing the big companies get all of the benefits when we've got these little guys around here that are beating their heads against the wall. Help support them. Make them understand that you support them and you want to see them support them as well. So Senator Fowler 59@gmail.com and say, support our buddies at Project Die Hard. So again, this organization, this is the last day for this fundraiser, but they are with us for ever and ever and ever now. This is the human contract. And I'm just going to replay this because to me, the message is beyond amazing. And I hope you think, I really hope you think it is as well. So we're going to play this the first show of the year, or the first show of the month again. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to watch this because it'll teach you so much. After we watch a video that I made for one of our great sponsors from this from the 22-hour event, a returning sponsor, a great friend of mine. You guys have seen him before many times, Mr. Steve Solis, the balloon artist, who's going to be with me in Greeley on the 21st, tying balloons for you and your kids. Come and see him. Very excited for this. I met Maria a couple weeks ago at a new networking event that talks about speakers. And I was in there doing my thing, introducing Community Pay It Forward, talking about the event on the 22nd, and caught Maria's eye. And thankfully, she reached out to me and said, "Hey, I would really like to talk to you." And when Maria, we had our conversation, I was so intrigued with what you guys are doing. I'd like to introduce Maria Dolores and Stefan Heinz, the founders of the Human Contract. How are you both doing?
Really, really great. And we're so happy to be here with you on this show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am so excited about the 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 prospect of what we can do together, because you guys in the Human Contract, you guys take and put a different wording on the same thing that we're trying to do, and make sure that you're trying to give everybody a chance, because everybody deserves a chance to live a happy and healthy life. Please tell me, what is the Human Contract?
Yeah, thank you. So, Zach, the 7 principles of human dignity is the human contract, and that we are born with our rights. Every single human being on the planet, we are born with rights, and the rights derives from United Nations Declaration of the Universal Human Rights. But then we also have responsibilities, and we mature with our responsibilities. So the first 3 principles is about our physical and mental health, and then the coming 3 is about our relationships, and the last is about us as a humanity, that we also we have rights and responsibilities.
That's, like I said, it's, to me, it just fits with what we're trying to do as well. And just to let everybody know, we're doing this a little bit different. Stephanie is going to be joining me in a couple hours, and we're going to do our part. With Stephanie's move to build the homestead for her family and the veterans, her schedule's gotten very busy. So this is going to be a little more maybe of the norm. We're still trying to work it out to where you're going to see me do a lot of the interviews, and then Stephanie and I are going to get together. She is still very much involved and very much wanting to support everything that we're doing. So you guys know how important this is to her as well. Stefan, how did you guys find each other? Because where you guys both come from the same country, you're a couple.
Sure.
You're a little far away from Maria now.
Yeah, so we're both Swedish, but I happen to live in southern Spain since 7 years back. Has nothing to do what we're doing here, but the last half decade or so, I've been very much involved with sustainable businesses, not just environmental, because that's what's the first thing people think about when I say sustainable, but I really talk about sustainable businesses, that everyone is involved, it's sustainable, and everyone wins. So I've done that for a couple of years, and during lockdowns and COVID and all of that, everyone turned onto Zooms. So, and I got connected through someone, I think it was John Donnelly, that he met Maria, he met me, and said, "You guys need to meet." And that's networking. And it took a year before we actually met face to face. But so that's how we come across. And I how should I say? Yeah, I work from Spain, and I'm Swedish. That's it.
You guys also have another partner who is in Dallas, Texas. He is your American leg of your tripod. He is the one who is working hard to push the program and introduce the program here in the United States. Tell us a little bit about Daniel, Maria.
Oh, Daniel is amazing. I'm so happy that I have such a great team. Daniel is working with security, and his background is very solid within security. And and Stefan is great in how he has supported and to create this solid, sustainable foundation that we are creating. So yeah, it's I'm really, really happy. And I feel sort of semi-American myself, because my mom lived half her life in United States. She lived in California between 1960 and 1972 in San Francisco. I lived in Los Angeles for a year, and then my mom lived the last 17 years in Florida, in Sarasota. So and my brother lives.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So my heart is really with America, and now it's time to launch the human contract, and to assure that to have a discussion about that we have both rights and responsibility as humans.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me ask you this really quick, Stefan. You were talking about sustainability. One of the easiest things to sustain are human abilities, right? I mean, when it comes to life, when it comes to business, you need happy, healthy humans to continue to do business.
Yeah, okay. So I would say my contribution to the human contract is rather the organization setup and the way that this organization can live for over 100 years. Initially, we are a traditional foundation that, of course, need the philanthropic help to get going. But the structure we set up is to be self-sufficient in 5 years, not depending on donations and sponsors forever, because this is a huge task, and that will jeopardize the whole idea if we are suddenly running out of funds 5 years down the line. So my contribution is here to set up the structure. That's the sustainability part, I would say.
We're looking at your at the website now, and I think the greatest thing about the website is you're showing, and I love the picture of the fists in the air, because that just shows that this is about diversity. This is taking human beings as one race, and that's the human race, and making sure that we treat everyone with that respect, with that honor, because we're all, when it comes to it, we're all the same, and we should all be treated the same.
We should all be treated the same, and have mutual respect, and dignity is really a core value for us. I've helped my friend in her funeral business for 5 years, and in last year I was speaking at the World Peace Conference here in Stockholm, and was the keynote speaker, and I talked about how I worked with dignity, and to see all religions, all the major religions, and how I worked with over 4,000 deaths, all over 4,000, both casketing, and also with great dignity and respect in different and various religious ceremonies. Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, and also secular religions and ceremonies. And no matter age, no matter background, I casket the guy who lived on the street for 15 years, as well as the lady in the Chanel dress, and with the same dignity and the same core value, which is really the core also for the human contract. And that it's a contract that you sign for yourself, with yourself, and for humanity. It's not a contract with me or Stefan. It's really, like you mentioned in our previous conversation, a grassroots movement for humanity.
I love underneath the sign there that says welcome to the human contract, human rights and human responsibilities. We all have responsibilities to each other to take care of each other. I close out every show by saying, take care of each other, because we're all we got. We're not, none of us are a different species. We're all the same. We all ought to be treated the same. For a world in a state of grace. Another beautiful, beautiful comment. You guys are run on. Oh, I guess if I tried to move the right, one here, you guys are run on the 7 principles of human dignity. I would like to go through the 7 one at a time. And you guys can, I'd like to get a comment from both of you on each one, okay? The first one is the principle of body. And this is, we have the right to bodily integrity. We have the right, we have the responsibility towards our body. Maria, what is your comment on this?
Yeah, when we are born, we come to this world and we are given a body. So that's all we know. And it's that we have both rights. So we are born with our rights, and we mature in our responsibilities. And as an infant, we need help with our responsibilities. And the 4 pillars, or the 4 fundaments of the first principle, is our rights and responsibilities for our sleep, how we eat, and that we eat nourished food. So sleep, food, exercise, and then touch, because touch is really a fundamental core for us as people. It's also connected with how we have the nervous system and everything. So yeah.
Okay, Stefan, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, as a general, for all the 7 principles, I would say, we're so used to know and make use of our human rights, but it's always comes together with the responsibility. But I tend to answer this question by saying we kind of outsourced the responsibilities to someone else. So in the name of your own body, we outsource that to other people instead of taking our own responsibility on how to treat our own body.
Mm.
So we blame the gym instructor or the doctor for not giving the right medicine or whatever. But first and foremost, you have your own responsibility as long as you can go to take care of yourself.
Mm.
But it's super easy just to sit back and let someone else, I use my right, fix me,
Mm.
rather than be proactive and say, I'm going to fix myself. I'm going to take my own responsibility for myself. And this goes through all the 7 principles, I would say.
Mm. Thank you, Stefan. I agree.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Second, we have is emotion. We have the right to our emotions. We have a responsibility for our emotions and to breathe emotions.
Yeah.
What does
What does it mean
Yeah.
to breathe emotions? Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So it's I give an example like when my mother died. She died in Florida, and how I was with her when she died, and I restored her integrity, and made her beautiful and nice, and then she passed on, and then I was 2 days after I was breathing emotions, and I was breathing emotions fast. It means, so I went into a room. I said to my brother, I need to be alone. And then I took a pillow and I hit I was getting out lots of anger, rage. I was so mad. And then underneath the anger was cry and sadness. And then underneath that, it was more anger. And then I was laughing because it was all so turbulent. But it's that we have the right to all our emotions. We have the right to our anger. We have the right to our frustration. But this also indicates that there is something underneath that, and to be curious about our emotions. So we have both rights and responsibility, and of course, not to act out all the time our emotions onto others, but to take responsibility.
Stefan, how does this tie into the emotional steps? As Maria was just talking about, you have fear, anger, um, sadness, remembering all those. You go through all those steps. Like she said, when she lost her mom, you have different steps that you go through. How does the second principle affect those? Or how is it affected by those?
Uh, I I would like to say whenever we are sharing or oversharing our emotions with others, we are pointing fingers and say, you did something wrong, you did
Yes.
something bad. But if you look at my hand, there are 4 fingers pointing this way. So maybe that has something to do how I'm getting treated. It's how I act on my emotions. So it's more if I do it in a way that I would like to be treated, it's a bigger chance that I will receive that in any way of these emotions that you can share with the world in different ways.
Yeah.
I really like that because it's not once again when you're pointing at somebody and you're blaming them, you really got to think. I like the analogy of how many fingers are pointing back at me. How am I taking this? Am I taking this in the right way? Is somebody saying something and I'm just flying off the handle because my emotions are are not under control. So what a wonderful, wonderful answer. The third principle is thought. We have the right to free thought.
Yeah.
We have the responsibility for those thoughts to broaden perspective. Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And so that refers to that, we are born, and we have it also follows our development as humans, with the body, and then we have emotions as an infant, and then we start to formulate our thoughts, and that we do have the freedom of thought. We have the right to think any kind of thought, and also to um, the responsibility to trying to broaden perspectives. And it refers to what we call istima. Istima means learning, or actually it means life learning. It's from a fictive language, and it's when you go from one if you go from one perspective and you shift perspective, or you go from, some people call it, level of consciousness. If you go from one level of consciousness and you shift, you don't go from here and just raise consciousness. You dive into the emotions that we were talking about earlier, but also our thoughts. So diving into the thoughts and struggling with thoughts. And I know every entrepreneur, every person have their own process of broadening perspectives and to be more curious. But we have the right to the whole range of being also close-minded, and then but it's an indication that there are other perspectives to be discovered.
The not being open, and I have a dream, I guess is the best way to put it, that I would like to someday write a book where I talk about the similarities and the differences of different religions, not to compare and contrast religions, but to make others aware of the reasoning behind some of the conversation there. I think that has a lot to do with what I think that there's a lot of there's a lot of synergy there in between this principle and that book. Stefan?
Yeah, I'm thinking, of course, we can have any crazy thought that we want in our head. We can't practice it. And that's of course obvious. My story is maybe my personal experiences when I went through my divorce, and we went through therapy, both of us, and learning not to act on what I thought she done, she said, she have not done, and open my mind and open my thinking. There is actually another alternative than my first thought, my first in the moment I wanted to reply on something, but oh, there is another version of this. There is another layer of this. She has another thinking of this question. That period, that really I learned that, okay, there are more perspectives in all the kind of thinking you can do. And you just need to be open to it, to embrace that and say, hey, I had one thought. It doesn't mean that's the one and only single truth. So for me, that period in my life learned to just sit back and listen and to understand what the other person is talking about, their thoughts, rather than me pushing on mine.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
If
That is
if
such a
we
great
would
example. Thank you, Stefan.
Yeah, if we would all remember that, you know what, we all have thoughts. That doesn't mean they're always right, and it doesn't mean that they're always wrong. It means that, maybe somebody's thinking of something similar but not right on, and it's also a perception of that other person's thought. If we really take and we understand what they're saying, maybe we are closer to one than we think.
Hmm.
So I love that, because we're in a world right now where living with somebody is very, very difficult as it is. And if you want to take and shift 100% of the blame on somebody, you know, it's just not going to work out. So
Yeah.
the
And
fourth principle, oh,
yeah,
go on ahead, Dolores.
and that's also why the first three principles, and why it's important that the first three principles is just the commitment and the promise we make to ourselves, and that we take rights and responsibility for our physical and mental health. And then we have the coming three, which is interpersonal. Yes.
Yeah, I know that the second principle and the third principle really tie in together. I mean, they really, really do tie in together, really, uh, very tightly.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to see how the rest of these go. The fourth principle we have is movement, and we have the right to freedom of movement. We have the responsibility in our movement to respect others, laws, and policy.
Yeah, exactly. So again, with the infant moving along from the body, emotion, and our thoughts, our thinking, and then the movement. And this is also connected to United Nations Declaration of the Universal Human Rights, that we have the freedom of movement, um, which is both in how we act and how we move in the world, but also to create movements. And the fourth principle is also connected to power, to take your rightful space and place in the world, and to use, it's how you use your time and your energy. It also ties to our financial power and our sexual power, and how we act and interact with each other as humans, and to not to act and um, take your responsibility over any other, but not to make yourself small either. So this is and creating lots of istima in our relationships, how we act and how we interact, and it's a constant learning as a human. So yeah.
Wow. Stefan?
Yeah, I would maybe take the example. I'm Swedish. I happen to live in European Union, which Spain is a part of. And within that European Union, we have the freedom of movement. The responsibility, though, is down to me to take care of me. So I'm not a burden to Spain. I will see to that I run my life, and I will not um, push Sweden on Spain. It's my responsibility to be a part of this country, this culture, this language, and be responsible of myself and my acting here,
Mm,
for example.
very good.
I really like that. And that could work from state to state or home to home.
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know
Mhm.
I live this way, but that doesn't mean that you should have to live that way to placate me.
Mm.
I so Wonderful, wonderfully put. The fifth principle is communication.
Yeah.
We have the right to communicate, create, express ourselves freely. We have the responsibility towards what we communicate and express, aiming to converse and create with dignity and respect for both ourselves and others.
Yeah. This is also the learning, right? The learning of that we have, and we are born with our rights to express and to create. You know, the artists are creating, and I think there's an artist in all of us, and how we have the freedom of expression. I have lots of friends who are reporters and journalists, and they stand on the barricades, you know, for the freedom of speech. But with that freedom also comes a responsibility. And it's a matter of how we speak, how we express, and when we notice, both in relationships, like in Stefan's and mine as a co-founder and founder, and we're talking about, and we're learning with respect to listen to each other, because that's really the core of the human contract, and to be living the human contract, and how we act and interact with each other, and how we express. And yeah, it's a learning. It's a great learning. And yeah.
I like this one because this also puts an onus on dignity and respect for both ourselves and others. This is, you've got to treat yourself
Mm.
with you got to treat yourself with respect to be able to respect others. So, Stefan.
Yeah, I think this maybe came very close to everyone during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
because then we have the pros and cons, and all the, how should I say, rage and emotions that was built upon my beliefs, or if that was black or white, or if that's right or left, or whatever that was. Um, so I hope, or that we are learning from that, and we should take our human right to have freedom of speech, as long as I don't push it on you. You need to believe what I say, you need to act what I talk about. Is more, but I can say what I want to say, as long as I'm not doing anything illegal, or
Yep.
sending one to on the wrong directions. But there is a lot of, how should I say, concern in the world today of self-censoring, which is actually more dangerous than censoring, because then we didn't even get to understand what you wanted to say from the beginning, because you censored yourself.
This is one that right now in the world is very this is a huge problem right now in the world. And I know that we made the commitment to where we weren't going to be talking a lot of politics, and I'm not going to. But this is one right here that like you just said, we have the right to say whatever we want. That doesn't mean that we have the right to push that on other people. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Going ahead.
And you're right, we have the right. Not everyone on the planet has.
Right.
Yeah.
Far from it. Far, far from it. So here we are not just talking about the responsibility of this, it's also the human rights that we are not seeing in many, many countries in the world.
Yeah, I actually, this is a little bit of foreshadowing that we're doing here. I have a question coming up very, very similar to that after we get done with these. So, and how this all ties into that. So I'm excited that you brought that up. But yeah, I have a question coming up about all that. The sixth principle is life. We have the right to our life, to live with whomever we choose, where and how we wish, but not at a detriment to others. This includes all life forms. We must respect all life.
Yeah. Exactly. And so the human contract is the promise you make to yourself, for yourself, and for humanity, that from the day we are born until we die, to take responsibility, to live your rights as a human, but also to take responsibility for your life and to respect other lives. And how we um, how we mistreat the planet, and like Stefan was referring to earlier, is also the fact that we do have about 45 million slaves in the world today, all over the world. We have never had as many slaves in numbers through our human history. And that means, how many people are around that, buying and selling other humans is horrible, and we need to end it. And this is the movement and the support for everyone to take their responsibility for their life and to respect other lives.
Yeah. There's a lot of times that people, Maria, with what you were saying, they only see the slavery as a black and white thing in the United States. That's not the way it is. With trafficking, with just military force, with military forced enslavement, with everything like that. We need to remember that slavery is not something that was exclusively in the past, and we got to be careful, as in our own human contract. We have to be careful that we are not participating and allowing this slavery to happen by our actions. We need to be careful on what we do, because we can unwillingly know or unknowingly support slavery by a choice that we make. So that's something that we've really got to watch out for. Stefan, what's your take on this?
Two completely different ones. One is, I read a documentary many years ago about cocaine and how cocaine is produced mostly in South America, taking it through the jungle, with the ships into Europe, into the streets for people's joy or whatever, satisfaction here. And most of the people that I speak to that uses this, what does it matter? It's only this much. Maybe, I take responsibility for my body. It will not matter to me. No, but you didn't take into account that they calculate that 1 kilo of that white powder on a street in Europe is one human life. Somewhere along that line, you are killing someone else by using that. And that is not taking responsibility for life. Secondly, we now move to Spain, and maybe you hear one of my dogs barking behind me here. So we moved here, and it's a completely different way and responsibility and a view of what life is and the value of life. In this case, we're talking about is pets, so cats and dogs. And compared to Sweden, they are 100 years behind. They still have kill animals for fun on Sundays. So they go to this arena and killing bulls, and they teaching kids and applaud and laugh and have joyful events on killing animals. This, of course, goes down to when they come home, they practice that on the cat or dog. And when they're done, they just leave it on the street. We come here as Swedes and see this, and we're like, we can't live like this. So we turned our home into a sanctuary for cats and dogs. We can't just pass by them and see them and don't give. So taking care of life is precious, not only human life, also animal life.
Yeah.
I watched a story, Stefan, the other day on one of the major news networks about how dog fighting is once again heavily prevalent in America, and that's just, you saw some of the cutest little pit bull puppies that are turned into entertainment, and they're bred to die. That's it. I
Mhm.
have 5 dogs myself. Okay, we have 5 dogs in my household, and I could not imagine using one of those just for destroying the life of another animal. They're my they're like my kids, and if you treat them right, that's what they can be.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Maria, you were going to say something?
No, I think it was a great example, Stefan,
Yeah.
and your wife Linda, she's doing this foster care home for dogs and cats, and you build a beautiful life, and yeah. Oh, you should have her on some other day, Zach. She has a heart of gold. She's so amazing.
We're,
So
we're more than willing to promote anybody who's doing good. So, but
and
yes, Stefan, it does. It sounds like a wonderful life. Sounds a little noisy, but it sounds like a wonderful life. This is probably, and this is kind of
yeah.
funny. Anybody who's watching my show, this is probably the longest I've ever went without one of mine coming up and joining our broadcast, because they're
Oh,
always on my shoulder. So
lovely.
I've got 2 animals that think that they're my co-hosts. So,
Mm,
but I'm pretty sure now that I've said something, it's coming up.
yeah. So the
The
last.
the seventh one is
Yeah.
the seventh principle is collective.
Yeah.
Collectively, we have rights as humans to live side by side as neighbors, cohabitate in suitable environments. This is fundamental to our existence. We have collective responsibilities, civil courage, and to stand up against injustices for all life on earth.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why we built the human contract to be, the promise for yourself. And the first three is personal. The coming three is how we act and interact with each other. And the seventh principle is about us as a union. And collectively, how it sort of summarize our rights, our human rights, which is based on United Nations Declaration of the Human Rights. But also collectively in Swedish, we call this civilkurage, which is moral courage, and to encourage our encourage our courage to step up for one another. If I'm on the metro here in Stockholm, or if I see something that is not right, it's our collective responsibility to step up. And this sort of ties together all all the other principles, all the other promises, that collectively and united we can make a change, we can make a difference, and we can end slavery, and we can do it now. But it's when the people who are working and acting and being in these clusters of indignity, with abuse, and when people can unite and say, this is wrong, we're not doing it anymore. And I'm thinking of how we had in 1989, when I was actually living in US. I was living outside of Los Angeles. We had the Berlin Wall falling down because
Mhm.
people on both sides said, no, we won't do this anymore. And people were just, going across this wall and tearing down the wall. And also the soldiers that were standing there, did not intervene, even though that was their job, actually, to be killing people. But 1989 was a big breaking point, because it just come to that point where people said, enough of this. We want to unite, and we want to collaborate better, and we want to tear down the wall of fear. I think it was the symbol of that, really.
In the early 70s, we lived in Berlin. My father was in the service, and we lived in Berlin, and our apartment overlooked into East Germany. We could see the wall. The wall went right across our apartment, okay, right outside of our apartment. And there's a picture of me as a child looking, both hands on the window, looking down, and you could see into the east, over the into the east side of the wall. When the wall came down, that was something where it was earth shattering as an act. But to me personally, it was one of those things, knowing and having a connection to that wall. It was something that I will never forget. The words of Ronald Reagan when he asked Gorbachev to tear down that wall. And I knew, just because of my personal experience with it, I knew how good that was for humanity.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up. Stefan?
The human right of the collective life, so to speak. I'm from Sweden, and we kind of outsourced that to the government, or to organizations, or other NGOs, or someone else, to take care of the things that we could handle ourselves if we just unite and come together. When you have children, and at least in Sweden, when we live in a city, you walk in the small town you live in at night to see that they are not out and getting drunk or in fights or whatever. And that's just volunteer work. And I can't send someone else because it's my kids. I need to just do that walk because that's my kids out there. But this is exactly the same with any question that you come across in your life. If you just continue to say, no, that authority take over that, and that organization have that responsibility, I do nothing.
Right. It's like there's quarrel over there, let's call the police. Or the it's something in the school, well, that's the school's problem, it's not my problem. Or pushing out. Exactly. Yeah.
So I think this is central for everything that we do in human contract. And I would say this is the grassroots movement. This is the community coming together, because this is not me and Maria and you, Zach. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that say, hey, let's get together, let's fix this, let's unite, let's get it back on. And so this is the central one, I would say, for everything.
Yeah. And that beyond religion, beyond party politics, we're all just human. So yeah, we can make a difference.
And we've all found our level in humanity and in happiness and in all of that within our religion, within our party politics, within our race, within we've all found a level of happiness there.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we need to take in and step on someone else's thoughts because they're a little bit different.
Right.
It means that we should, you can have those discussions without demolishing someone else's beliefs.
Yeah. Yes.
I have an uncle that I love dearly. That he and I politically we stand miles apart. And it's one of those things that, you know what, he and I, we discuss politics, but we both know that there's just a certain place that, you know, we don't go there. You know, we talk freely, we talk every day, and we end these conversations with, I love you, have a great night.
Yeah.
We end those conversations that way because it's not worth tearing someone else down and tearing a relationship apart.
Right.
We
Mm.
have that freedom to feel.
Yeah.
We don't have the freedom to hurt someone else. That's not, it's not dignified.
Right.
And I think that, you know, there's no dignity in that. There's no strength in it.
Right. And also with the freedom of expression and the freedom of communication and creation, it's also to, because some weeks ago, unfortunately, we had some people burning books here in Sweden.
Mhm.
And it was a very sad moment for me, because it stirred a couple of 100 million people up, and they were very, very angry. And then the people who did this were like, well, so what? It's my freedom of speech, it's my freedom of expression. But if you do and you say things, which we do, you know, we're human, right, Zach? So we do things and we say things that are like, well, maybe that was not so good. And so the responsibility is to stay in communication and to listen and to try
Mhm.
to understand the other perspective. So if you are doing things or saying things that you notice, like, oops, that was offensive, it's to stay in communication and trying to listen.
It's definitely well worth thinking before you speak. You know, make sure that, you know, you're saying what you really want to say instead of just taking and blurting something out there and with the risk of hurting someone else. Stefan, here's the question back to what you were saying earlier. We have countries all over the world, and I'm not going to pull one out of the hat and I'm not going to say it. We have countries all over the world where government or military action or something has their thumb firmly on the people of their country. How can we, as part of the human contract, how can we do things to positively affect them, even though there's going to be pushback against us?
Love the question. First of all, I think it's not done in a day. It
Mhm.
will take a generation or two. And let me take another example. I support a charity in Uganda that has, for the last 20 years, run a school for orphans and for mostly deaf or what do you call it, dumb? Deaf and dumb children. So with issues, problems in life, and they also live in Uganda and have no parents. So and in that part of the world, corruption is a kind of a big thing. I've been there, so I also seen it myself. So
Yeah.
what they do in this school is because they realize that the older generations already in the system, they already taught by their parents and their surrounding that this is how it works. So what they do at this school, they have a magazine, what's it called? Toy magazine, a children's magazine, cartoon magazine, is it called? Yeah. Where corruption is the bad guy, is the big bad wolf, is the monster in all these stories. So they teach the children this is the bad version. So, and there is where we're going to do the change over time through children saying there is an alternative. You don't have to be in that system. You can break free as a human, as long as you also take the responsibilities that comes with these rights in all these 7 principles that we just talked about.
Yeah.
It's not done in a day, but over generations, these people, the children will grow up and they will be in charge and they will be pushing that further and further. The other
No
alternative
regime.
is do nothing and say, hey,
Yeah.
it's been like this forever and it's going to end like this forever. Or we say, no,
No.
let's change.
Yeah.
Because we have countries in the world that have changed, that have come out of this.
Yeah.
So there is a chance, there is a possibility. And I'm one of them that can say, I don't want to sit and just do nothing.
Yeah. No regime has
Mm.
lasted throughout humanity.
Right.
No regime has ever lasted throughout humanity. Dare I say, no religion has lasted through humanity. You know, so things change, and if we work together,
Yeah.
as we always say, no one has to go it alone. When we all come together, when we all work together, we can make huge difference for other people.
Yeah. And that's also why we have created a foundation to work on long term. This is not, something that is a quick fix. It's not something, but we need to start to have the conversation now. And
Mhm.
Stefan and I, we're so excited that we're starting this year in United States,
Yes.
and to have this movement starting. However, I have friends in over 100 countries, I would say, and I know that my friends say that this is brilliant, Maria. My hi doggy. My friends in Asia, in Europe, and America and South America, people say that the human contract is really what is needed, and it's not religious, it's not party political. This is about humans taking a stand for themselves and with themselves. And so no matter what kind of organization you have in your country, hello sweetie, no matter what
Told you one of them was going to pop up.
yeah,
So
what's the name of your dog?
this one here is Ghost. Yeah,
It
he
is
he
Ghost.
yeah, that one's Ghost. So,
So,
but
so no matter the organization form that you have in your country, it's really about you taking a stand for yourself and how you will act and interact in the world. So yeah.
well, I know that it kind of went in a little bit of a different direction, and you guys decided to be more localized and take what you're doing and not stop and not. I don't even see it as a slow down thing. I think it's more of a targeted targeted introduction that I think can just only help you grow. Tell me this, what are some of the things, and we all know that money is vital to organizations. Outside of money, what are some of the things that people can do to support the human contract?
Stefan, do you want to?
Okay, yes. Sorry. Yeah. So of course, to support us by signing on the website, you can sign up for the human contract. Again, it's not signing it with us; it's signing it with yourself. Yeah, exactly there.
Yeah.
And so you are one in the team taking a stand helping us to grow this going forward. We will build out this website very, very soon with more options on this, but that's a first thing to do, and just sign up there.
Right.
We are planning to roll this out very soon in 2024 in the US, and everyone in America, please get in contact with us so we can work together to spread this together.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're
exactly. So to sign up and to join us, and I would also love to come and speak and have speaker engagement and to share and to talk more about this. And yeah, of course, we would love donations
Mhm.
to keep this movement going. How we deepen, we could call it to deepen democracy, or how we, how we stand up better for ourselves and one another.
I think one of the things that we've learned here in this wonderful hour that we've spent together, one of the things that we've really focused on, and I think is vitally important, is you need to speak. You need to take action. We all know what's right. We all know what's right. Deep down, when you know you're doing something you're not supposed to, you know you're doing something you're not supposed to.
Mm.
We need to stand up for other people. We need to make sure that we're not harming other people. Um, you know, like I was mentioning before, if you are, if you're participating in any way in the drug trade, as you said earlier, Stefan, there's a human aspect to that. It is a disease. Human, being addicted to drugs, it is a disease, and it is a tough disease. But you need to realize that this isn't only your life, this isn't the life of your family that you're affecting. There are other people in other countries that paid the ultimate price for this. Cartels take over governments and rule
Mm.
lives on a misconception that they're doing wonderful things for people quite often.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah, they'll purchase a new soccer field, but how much blood was, you know, how much blood was spilled for that one soccer field? And how many how many people were torn down for that one soccer field? So, um, I would like to ask Maria, can I get any final words from you, please?
I'm I'm really really happy to be here and to collaborate with you, and I'm so excited about 2024 and how we are moving forward. Um, and peace in the world starts from within. It starts with how we treat ourselves, our body, our thoughts, and our emotions, and then how we move about in the world. So, yeah, sign the human contract and join us.
Absolutely,
Promise
Stefan.
yourself. It's a promise to yourself. Yeah.
There you go,
Mm.
Stefan.
Yeah, how you say it? Echo that 100%. And what can I add to this? I just want to repeat the last seventh principle, the promise of uniting. I do believe that it's built in the DNA of humans that we can conquer any problem when we come together for one cause. And if that cause is to keep us being human and friendly and work together, hey, no one is losing, everyone is winning. Let's do it together.
I again, people are sick of hearing me say it, but no one has to go it alone when we all come together.
Mm.
This right here proves that I'm not the only one that thinks this, that we at Community Pay It Forward are not the only ones that think this. The human contract is standing right there beside us, and we're standing right beside them. The human contract is, we are working diligently. You guys are joining the program, so you can support the human contract by simply shopping with any of our partners, as well as the human contract is our organization of the month. So anytime that you buy any One Hope wine for this month, you can support the human contract. We will be right back, and we will have the goddess of the grapes, Stephanie Samos, is going to be joining us, and she's going to be doing her part. And you can learn more about how you can take and turn 2024 into support for wonderful organizations like the Human Contract. Maria, Stefan, thank you so very much for spending this last hour with me. It was eye-opening and wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, one of the way that you can take and support Project Die Hard is right here by emailing Senator Dale Fowler at senatorfowler59@gmail.com. I still cannot get over that he's got a Gmail account. The U.S. government can't pay for a .gov email. Maybe they're too busy spending millions of dollars on a freaking hammer. But Senator Fowler59@gmail.com, Senator Fowler59@gmail.com, and demand that they support Project Die Hard. Then Reach out to your local senators, or congressmen, uh, whoever. Reach out to them and say, you know what? While you're at it, thank you, dog. I appreciate that. That was a nice little burp by the dog. So sorry about that. Ghost is making another appearance, and he was just a little rude. Anyway, reach out to your local senator, your local congressman, and tell them, you know what? Support these other small causes. Would you support these other small causes in my community because they need your help? But Senator Fowler59@gmail.com and support Project Die Hard. Again, we've only got a few hours left in January. You can still choose the human contract as your recipient whenever you purchase One Hope Wines. We will not be seeing the segment with Steph because we don't have time to do it. But you guys know what Steph and I do. If you don't, just visit the website, visit the Facebook page, whatever you need to do, and you can find out. Next week, we will be introducing a new team member. Melissa is going to be joining the team, and she's going to be helping Stephanie through her transition of moving. She is going to be helping me out by being Stephanie's liaison. While Steph is dealing with fun things like finding internet and everything else, we're going to be bringing on Melissa. And then as soon as Steph gets organized and set up in her new homestead, once they get everything built, because they got a lot of stuff they're going to be doing to try to help out so many people. So Melissa's going to come on as an addition and help us out as the representative, as another representative from One Hope Wines. We're hoping that we have Stephanie on more times than not, but we're just going to have to be blessed when she can be there. But in February, we are going to be introducing you to International Consciousness, which is an organization that deals with mindful healing and more. And they are now one of the programs that we will be raising money for with Buffalo Wild Wings assistance on the 21st, and the silent auction, and any donations that come in on the day of the 22nd, and any purchases you make with any of our community pay it forward giving partners. Organizations like NOCO Mobile Gaming, coming up here in 7 minutes, right here on the channel that you're watching, we're going to be replaying this week's episode of Footprints Forward with a look. It's like normal on Footprints Forward. We're talking about very, very difficult topics. Brooke Kikos was involved in, she calls it, I'm going to call it what she calls it. She was involved in a cult. the Jehovah's Witnesses. She talks about her journey from leaving the society and all she had to do to try to become the wonderful, wonderful woman she is today, the mother, the coach, and so much more. So it's a great story. It's a heartfelt story. It's a heart-wrenching story, where she lost her her childhood boyfriend, husband. They ended up in a divorce, and then he ended up succumbing to addiction. So, there's so much to this story, and I encourage you, stick around, because here in 5 minutes, that show starts. Once again, we are thrilled beyond belief that we are being joined by Buffalo Wild Wings on the 21st to help us support support the community mission to serve our veterans. I can't tell if that is a country song or, a mountain song or whatever you want to call it, or an Irish jig. It kind of sounds like a combination of both. It's a cute song, though. I found it while we were watching the video, so I finished that video up. Hey, one other thing, while this show was going on, I told you guys that this has been a very busy day. It was confirmed that the Colorado Grit will be making an addition to our auction. We don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but we know that there's going to be a fan pack that the Colorado Grit is going to be adding into our auction. So we are so excited for that. Once again, we had such a great time with the Community Dare to Care Cub Club. We got to talk to a lot of people. We made a lot of new friends. A lot of kids had a lot of fun. And I just know that we are going to work on a partnership that I have a feeling is going to sprout wings and fly for a long, long time. Hey, everybody, my name is Zach Clayton with Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the pACT channels. I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight. We are running about 20 minutes over, but had a lot of information tonight. So, it is what it is. Starting in about 2.5 minutes, we've got our footprints forward from Monday. Please stick around and watch this show. It is so heart touching because the subject is so difficult to hear. Join us again next week when we have our February wine event. We bring in Melissa to join Stephanie and myself. We raise money for internal conscious. So anyway, here we go. Please love somebody out there because somebody out here loves you. Make sure you're taking care of someone, because if you're not, you're hurting everyone. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. People, we're all we got. Let's take care of each other. Let's have some fun. Join us if you're in Northern Colorado on the 21st at your closest Buffalo Wild Wings.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home. Out alone, show me the way. apart. Sunset Boulevard.